The White House is the biggest reality check for American politicians. They enter it preaching peace and love, but leave with a legacy of war and destruction. Just think about the last two US presidents. Barack Obama won the Nobel Peace Prize for his anti-war sermons. By the end of his term, he had dropped 563 bombs. So much for promoting peace. Then Donald Trump came to office, promising to stop America's endless wars. We all know how that turned out. Now, Joe Biden seems to be going the same route. 36 days after taking charge, he has bombed West Asia, an airstrike near the Syrian border. The target, Kataib Hezbollah, a powerful militia group backed by Iran. They mostly operate in Iraq, but have safe houses in Syria. War monitors say at least 22 fighters were killed. The Pentagon is confident they hit the right target, but on casualties, they're mum.
We're confident in the target that we went after. We know what we hit. And we're confident that that target was being used by the same Shia militia that conducted the strikes.
That was Pentagon Chief Lloyd Austin. The strikes he's referring to are from 10 days back. On the 15th of this month, more than a dozen rockets were fired at the Erbil base in Iraq. Inside were American soldiers. One foreign contractor was killed, multiple others were injured. The strikes were an open challenge to Joe Biden. Would he stand up to Iran's proxies or let Tehran walk over him? He chose to stand up and strike back. That's definitely a display of intent, but what's Joe Biden's endgame here? The Syria strikes were not his only option. He was reportedly given a set of military responses, out of which Syria was the most conservative one. Biden does not want an escalation. His goal is deterrence, to put the fear of America in the mind of its enemies. But the casualty of this posturing could be the Iran nuclear deal. Biden has a personal stake in reviving it. As Vice President of the US, he played a key role in the negotiations. But these airstrikes complicate matters. Iran is no doubt plotting revenge. So at what point will Biden's limited retaliatory strikes turn into hellfire? The State Department gave a clear answer on Wednesday. America's patience is not unlimited.
Our patience is not unlimited, but we do believe, and the president has been clear on this ever since he was running for high office, that the United States and he felt that the most effective way to ensure Iran could never acquire a nuclear weapon was through diplomacy. That is what we are engaged in now.
The Iran problem is part of every president's inheritance. But that's not the only challenge for Biden. He's talking about resetting ties with Saudi Arabia, the power center of West Asia, also Iran's sworn enemy. Now, Joe Biden says he values the kingdom, but he's got a problem with its rulers. On Thursday, he called King Salman a full month after taking office. Biden lauded the recent release of Saudi activists and promised to build a strong and transparent relationship. A couple of interesting things to note about this phone call. One, the timing. The conversation came so late that it seems like more of an afterthought. Saudi Arabia is among America's closest allies. Their alliance is key to containing Iran's influence in West Asia. The delay in reaching out could be a signal of fraying ties. Point number two, the Khashoggi report. We've been hearing about it this entire week, a US intel report that will blame the Saudi crown prince for the murder of journalist Jamal Khashoggi. Biden says he's read that report, but it wasn't raised in this phone call. Number three, Saudi Arabia's human rights record. Joe Biden appreciated the strides made by the kingdom, but he wants more action, like he can dictate it. So here's the thing. Joe Biden's West Asia policy appears indecisive. He wants diplomacy with Iran, but he does not want to appear weak. He wants to build the Saudi alliance, but he continues to sideline the crown prince. It may be too early to say that he's making a hash of it, but at this rate, that's what the US will end up with. Legacy weighs heavily on Biden's shoulders. His predecessor was a man of fire and fury, someone who acted first and contemplated later, if he ever did. His former boss was a failed pacifist. And somewhere in between is where Joe Biden wants to be. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.